Greetings, my name is Diane Skiba, and I have the honor today of interviewing Dr. Marin. This is part of a special project put together by the International Medical Informatics Association, Nursing Informatics. The project is called Nursing Informatics Development, Implementation, and Evaluation over 5 decades. Personal accounts and experience from international experts. Welcome, so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Diane, and I'm very grateful. It's a privilege to be here and to talk to you a bit about my experience in this group and congratulate the group for this initiative as well.
Thank you so much. This has been a joy to kind of pull everybody's stories together. So let's start with your story. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in informatics.
Yeah. I was doing my specialization degree, nursing schools in Brazil. The curriculum is 4 years plus 1 year of clinical specialization. And I select obstetrics. By the year I was finalized my specialization, Dr. Daniel Sigurlen established the Center for Health Informatics in my university. And then I said, why I don't go and talk to him and realize what it is? And then the next year I finalized, and next year, in the beginning of the year, I set up a meeting with him. I still remember me crossing the street, going to his office. And then he said, okay, you are interested in this field, so take this book. It was Ted Shortleaf's first book. Take this book. We have next week the Carnival in Brazil. So you are going to take the time to read this book. If you're still considering to get in the field, you come back, bring me back the book, and then we start talking. So I did my homework, and as the time was a lot of patients, pregnant women with HIV in Brazil in the beginning of 80s. And I was working and taking care of this pregnant woman. And then I said, why we don't do a system that can identify the risk in pregnancy and what should be done if the nurse or the physicians find some kind of symptoms and risk. It was a kind of decision support system. And then I start my master. In the master, I start doing the design of the system, the information. And in the nursing school, they didn't have nothing. And then Daniel said, let's involve more nurses here. So then he had the idea to organize a discipline, a course, to be delivered for the PhD in nursing. I was doing my PhD with him in the clinic, in the center that became a department of health informatics, the master and PhD. But then he said, no, I go to the nursing school as well, and we are going to give the nurses the concept of this new area. So then he supports me to include the program, the content in the in PhD for nurses and the master. And in 1999, he helped me to make the discipline in the undergraduate program as part of the curriculum. So nurses had at the beginning 2 times. In the first year, we did the introduction of informatics to give them the literacy with computers. And then in the 3rd year of the undergraduation program, we had a second part of the course that nurses understand how to document nursing documentations in electronic way. So then in '94, we had the national conference, like every country. We have the Brazilian Society, we have the national conference. And one of the speakers was Dr. Charlie Safran. And then I spoke to Dr. Charlie Safran and I said, okay, I'm finalizing my PhD and I want to do a post-PhD in US. I was considering to go to Maryland nursing school because by that time, Maryland already had the program in the PhD in nursing informatics. And Charlie said, no, you were coming with me at Harvard because we don't have nurses, too many nurses involved. And if you come, it's going to be a model and a chance for them to see that I am open to receive also nurses. And I have a privilege because when I arrived, Denise Goldsmith was already there. She was already involved. So made my way in introduction to Harvard very easy. And also an important thing in '94, it's when for the first time, I participate in IMIA in Austin. And Susan Grobe invited me to stay for the post-conference. So that was the time I met Virginia Saba, Subak, and Pat Breen, and many stars in nursing informatics, and was a privilege. After that, it was natural for me to stay involved in the future, in the field. In the conferences, I think since '94, I never stopped going to IMIA, to IMIA nursing informatics, except during the pandemic that we did at the distance. But until Mexico, I've been as much as possible contributing to the future. But for me, since that first day I crossed the street and talked to Dr. Siegelin, it was a sequence of natural things that came to me. And I was fortunate enough to have great people in my way, in my professional and personal life.
That's great. So it sounds like your career sort of started in the clinical arena and using those skill sets in the clinical, and then moved into the academic environment.
Yeah. My whole career was because in my university, we had by that time just two hospitals. One, it's a general hospital, and the other one was the maternal hospital that was founded by a French nurse that came to Brazil. She founded the nursing school, and then she realized that some kind of poor or single moms, they need to have a place to have the prenatal care, to deliver the baby, and after to deliver, to have a chance to get it back in a healthy way, and to help them to find a place to stay, a job, and that makes possible to take care of the baby. And so in these two hospitals, we practice, and the faculty also practice as a chair of the clinical. So as a student and as a nurse, it was our responsibility to carry on and to conduct the clinics, and holidays, Saturday, Sunday, we have a day scale. We have to practice because the people were there to be carried off. So it was quite interesting. But one thing that struggled me, and by that time, it's, many papers, many time making the documentation, written documentation. And it was some days, Diana, that I just have time to change the gloves to do the deliver, because the normal deliver were performed by the nurses. And we have about 20, 25 per day. So it was, and I said, I have no time to record. So somehow we need to realize or to figure out an easy way for nurses and physicians to record this whole documentation about the prenatal and the liver and labor and the liver in an easy way. And that took me to talk to Dr. Siegelen.
Okay. So it sounds like you've had a couple of mentors in your life that have really inspired you.
First, I mentioned Dr. Siegelen, that was my mentor in master and PhD. He was very proud because he became full professor in the university, and 15 years after, I became full professor. And so it was like his baby. I was the first nurse that he mentored in the field, but he was open enough, as Dr. Charlie Safran. In the nursing side, of course, my mother was, and my father was a great example, because the education, it was not a rich family, but the education was very, very important for them. So my mother used to say that as a baby, she's 1-2 years, she wanted us to stimulate for reading. And then she picked up some magazine and showed a great interest in that magazine. She had zero interest, but she wanted us to take the magazine from her and get interest in reading. So education was a biggest value that they passed to me. And then I had Daniel. That short-lived, the first time I met him, it was very distant, and then we became very close. And I cannot, I have to mention also Virginia Saba, that became more than a mentor and friend. She was also kind of my family, as Marion Ball, Subak, and thanks to Subak, and for instance, I was able to say goodbye to Virginia in the last minute. So I think, and these people, more than professional models, Catherine Hanna, I remember she came several times to Brazil, and she helped a lot. And from Europea, Ula came also and helped me when I decided to organize some seminars or workshops in nursing informatics, Evelyn Rovenga. So nobody said no in our field. If you can do, we do. We never say no to young people. I never got an answer when I send an invitation and to come here and help me to give a seminar, a keynote speaker, all these people. And the climax, the top was IMIA 2003 with Virginia. She was amazing, my mentor on that kind of organization, because that was the first time I was organizing an international meeting. And Virginia was the mentor for that organization. And, up to now, she was the chair by that time of IMIA. And up to now, I still have people that remember the IMIA 2003 in Rio. And that was a great memory, but Virginia Saba for sure was a good mentor on that and very precise in what she wanted for IMIA 2003 and how she wanted the conference to be organized. So, as I said, I had so many people that inspire me, and it's my just I am just grateful for this, because life is much more easier when you have a good guidance.
And I'm gathering that you probably have inspired some people.
I do hope so. I do hope so. So in my career, I had opportunity to have more than 20 PhD, master, and a specialization degree in nursing, health, informatics. And I know some of these students are involved in academia or industry and developing systems. Some decided to live in across ocean and are living in the West of Europe and also in Africa. So I hope somehow I could do for these students the same or similar I received from the people I had in my initial steps.
It sounds like those experiences that you've had and your connections with your mentors have been very rewarding to you in your career.
Yes, as I mentioned, those meetings were spectacular, but there is one in particular that it's quite recently, and first was Medinfo 2004 that I was invited in San Francisco. I was invited to be a keynote. I remember Marion Ball in front of me and Virginia, so many. That meeting, that IMIA-Medinfo in San Francisco was spectacular. And that year, I also was nominated to American College of Medical Informatics. And I was the first Brazilian to be introduced and to be recognized in the American College. But also one thing, other than health or nursing informatics, one thing that I keep in mind, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity, it's to be a keynote in a conference in ICN. Because it's not common, those big conferences on ICN, in the International Council of Nurses, to talk about informatics. They're talking about global health, all this stuff, but not a keynote in health informatics, in nursing informatics. And I was invited to connect the nursing informatics with Virginia Henderson, that developed a theory, and by that I merged to put also Virginia Sabat, having Virginia Henderson in the nursing science and Virginia Saba as in the nursing informatics, and I had over 6,000 people in the room in the speech. And I got a stand ovation. So that was, I was the closing keynote. And to have 6,000 people in the closing keynote, it's not common, nobody stays for the last day. But it was a great experience for me. It was in Seoul, in South Korea. It was great.
I'm sure with ICN, informatics is not a usual topic, so they were probably thrilled to hear you. What advice do you have that you'd like to give to the next generation of people coming into nursing informatics or healthcare informatics?
Yeah, first, education never ends. If you decide to come to the field, so have it double thought if you want to come, even if you want to be a nurse or a faculty in the healthcare area, because the people need to be sure that you want to develop the expertise in the area. They need, I advise to talk to the professionals that are in the area, be connected with senior people in the area. There is a philosopher, that's the kind of Brazilian history. There is a philosopher here in Brazil, and he said I just remember this. I hope I can make sense in English. And he said, cows do not give milk. You need to take it out. You need to do this. You need to take care of the cow. You need to feed. You need to wake up at 4 a.m. You need to go to the place. You need to tie. You need to learn the highway to get the milk out. So it's a lot of commitment, hard work, and never ends, never ends. And I hope these people realize, because nursing informatics works with technology, but it's technology for the people, for the patient. We are dealing with lives, which is the most precious gift we can have. So I hope this new generation learn to be committed and learn to be a good professional by looking what has been done by others. This is why I think this project is so important, because if you don't document, it doesn't exist, right?
You're very right. Well, we appreciate all your contributions, and it's been wonderful interviewing you. Thank you so much for your time.
I thank you. And you also a great model for me, and I hope to see you in person very soon.
Me too. Take care. Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.